Can I show you a portrait?
Please do,
Because my grandmother has a very dodgy portrait. It's a photo of a portrait. Of James Thomas Bedborough.
I would actually guess with that high collar, I would say perhaps 1830s. He's obviously done well for himself, judging by his good clothing. So clearly something more than just a stonemason.
Really? Brilliant, thank you very much. I think my next step... Am I going to see you again?
You can see me anytime you want.
I was kind of brought up for 10 years by my paternal grandmother. I owe her just the greatest debt of gratitude.
Popular television presenter Davina McCall was born to Florence and Andrew McCall in London in 1967, but spent most of her childhood living with her English grandparents.
My grandma, Pippi, believes that we are the result of an illegitimate child born of an affair with a royal. And I'd quite like to probe her a bit deeper about that. I mean, if anybody's going to know anything, it's Pippi.
I saw you last night, and I'm right, you did look black on the television.
Look, my hair?
Yes.
Bit dark. How are you?
I'm very well, all the better. That's the super one of you with Daddy.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
I think I look really like Daddy.
It is. That's a really, really nice one, because he looks so chuffed to be with you. I mean, it was very tough for him, because he really would have loved to have been able to look after you, but I mean, when you haven't got a wife, you know, and you've got a job and everything else. But it all worked out for the best.
Davina's family believe their royal ancestor is George IV, who came to the throne in 1820.
So we've got Pippi and Mickey here, and then we've got Lulu
William
here.
Yes, yes.
What was your grandmother's name? What's her name again?
Gertrude Townend.
Gertrude. And then it's Gertrude's mother.
She was Charlotte Bedborough.
So she is my great-great-great-grandmother.
Yes. And I've got this original marriage certificate.
And it's from 1851.
51. Frederick Townsend to Charlotte Bedborough. She lived in Upton Park, and James Thomas Bedborough was her father. And that's him. That's James Thomas Bedborough.
Yes. My great-great-great-great-grandfather. 4 times. So, hang on. Who is the illegitimate child supposed to be by folklore? Is it...
Well, it must be James Thomas, among dozens of others, because he was a fairly randy old man, George IV. On the wall behind you, that's a picture of Upton Park.
What, here?
It's very near Windsor.
Wow.
Lulu always told me that George gave it to James, I suppose, as a wedding present.
Nice. So George IV gave James Upton Park.
I mean, that's not a fact.
No, but it's hearsay. It's hearsay. But these are the things I want to uncover.
Yes.
So, Pippi, would it be all right if I borrowed that?
Yes, absolutely.
Could I do that?
Absolutely. You can keep that one.
Really?
Yes, you can keep it.
OK.
For at least 4 generations, Davina's family has speculated about a link to royalty. Now she wants to find out if her ancestor, James Thomas Bedborough, could really be the illegitimate son of George IV.
I need to find out whether Upton Park is the key that we're looking for to connect us to George IV. I need to find out who James Bedborough was and if the house really was given to him by George IV. Yes, I need to go and kind of do some research. James Thomas O-R-I-G-H. Father, George IV. Sorry. Search. OK. But it's slightly different spelling. It's quite confusing. 30th of October, 1787. And his father was Thomas Bedborough. And his mother was Mary. Extracted birth or christening record for the locally listed. Source records. So that's Thomas and Mary. I did sort of want to see just illegitimate love child to George IV, as if they're going to put that on the records. But a part of me thought that there'd be some information in here. There's no information. So I need to speak to a genealogist who's going to be able to kind of help me with a bit of digging.
Davina's meeting royal genealogist Charles Moseley at the National Archives in Kew.
Hi.
Hi there.
Nice
How
to meet you. I'm Davina.
Yes, indeed. I recognise you from Googling you last night.
Oh, did you? Did you?
Yep.
And well, I don't want to know what you found out about me, but can I tell you what I found out about my family?
Yes.
And what I'm after. So I found out that my 4 times grandfather is a chap called James Thomas Bedborough.
Yep.
He lived at Upton Park, and it was given to him by King George IV, as he was one of, I would imagine, millions of illegitimate children.
Millions is putting it a bit high. I have come up with the names of 15 or 16. Not all of them are definitely by him, because many of the women he rogered were considerable gals in their day. This was the Regency period, and had many lovers. And you get some cover-ups, some big cover-ups. For instance, there is a suggestion of jobs being given for them through the court. I can't say, of course, that everybody connected with royal palaces and getting jobs with the court was necessarily an illegitimate child of George IV.
But how
but
would
if
you know?
somebody was... You don't. You can't ever know.
It's guessing.
Yeah, but it's intelligent guessing.
Amongst the millions of records housed in the archives, Charles has found a number which refer to James Thomas Bedborough.
Have you found something for me?
I think I might have something that'll tickle your fancy, yes.
Oh, go on.
Now, here we have... Let's try and open it in the right place. This is Jas T. James Thomas Bedborough of New Windsor, i.e. Windsor. This is the notification of his apprenticeship.
Right.
1804, and so he's 16. Let's see what he's doing.
Stonemason.
Yeah.
And so does that mean it's the end of our pursuit?
No, we got plenty more. We're moving on now to 1811. This is the account of the works at Windsor Castle.
Right. James Bedborough Mason.
There you are.
Taking down, cleaning and refixing chimney pieces.
Chimney pieces.
In his Majesty's and State apartments.
Yep.
So that's very...
That's George
special,
III
quite
himself,
special
exactly.
job.
Yep. And this
Do you
is
think that's significant?
Yes, I think it is, perhaps. You have James Bedborough, your ancestor, working on the major royal residence of the time.
Do you think that there would be any way of getting an even stronger sign? Or is this this is all I'm going to get?
What I'd love to do would
evidence?
be a DNA sample, but digging up George IV would be a major operation.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
I love seeing it in print.
Yes, he's coming alive, isn't
But
he?
I feel pride.
Yes,
That's my
Yes.
relative, and it's amazing how... I don't know.
Makes you want to take up a chisel.
Not that much pride, but
Now,
enough.
The price of stonemasons
think
these days, you might want to try your own hand.
Yes,
Believe me.
this is true. Can I show you a portrait?
Please do, yes.
Because my grandmother has a very dodgy portrait. It's a photo of a portrait.
Of a portrait.
Of James Thomas Bedborough.
I would actually guess with that high collar, I would say perhaps 1830s. He's obviously done well for himself, judging by his good clothing. So clearly something more than just a stonemason.
Really? Brilliant, thank you very much. I think my next step... Am I going to see you again?
You can see me anytime you want. But your next step is to go straight down to Windsor.
I think so.
And say, that was done by my great-great-great-great-grandfather.
I love the fact that Charles seemed chirpily optimistic about the tenuous link with George IV. It did seem a lot more tenuous than I thought it might be. I don't know. It can't possibly be true. I've been looking at the portrait again, and I can't quite marry the idea of James being a stonemason and looking so exquisitely dapper, and the portrait looking like it's been done by quite a good portrait artist. It's a hard thing to marry up the two people.
A castle has stood at the heart of Windsor for nearly 1,000 years. Davina's come here to meet architectural historian Simon Bradley.
I find it hard to marry up the idea of him being a stonemason in this portrait of this quite smart man. So I was wondering what sort of... I mean, stonemasonry, it's a very physical job, isn't it? What would he have been doing?
Well, he starts doing fairly rough work. And in fact, the very terrace we're walking on, one of his early jobs when he was working at Windsor, was reconstructing it. So you may be walking on James Bedborough. But that's fairly...
Do you know what I think's amazing? I think it's amazing that you're an architectural historian and you know my great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Well, he's not just a mason, he is the mason. He is the king's master mason, so he's got the plum job.
In 1820, George IV inherited the throne and promptly ordered an extravagant makeover of the castle inside and out. It would take more than a decade and cost the country over £1 million. It was the perfect chance for James Thomas Bedborough to showcase his skills.
The Windsor Castle of today that the state visitors come to is basically George IV's.
That's so gorgeous, isn't it?
It is, it is. George IV is a showman, you know, he wants things to look impressive.
So
now,
lovely.
I can show you a picture.
Oh, yes, please.
These are the architect's drawing, but look up top left, because that's what we're looking at
whole
now.
New...
That's the round tower, one of Bedborough's
Wow, so
really
the whole,
major
all that
works.
stonemasonry on the top. The flowery bit... Flowery?
Yep.
Sorry, but you don't get it called that very often.
The battlements and matriculations.
Thank you,
as
the
they're called.
matriculations.
It's the two stories below the battlements.
Oh, really?
And that's pretty well the junction between
so
the old
that's
work and the new work.
enormous.
Yeah. It's a sort of like a child's dream of the Middle Ages.
Yes.
Or a Hollywood dream
Yes.
of the Middle Ages.
From his early days as a humble apprentice stonemason, James Thomas Bedborough had risen to the height of his craft, working on the most prestigious building project of the age. And beyond the castle walls, new opportunities were opening up.
So James does a lot, but he doesn't stop in Windsor Castle because he carries on building into Windsor Town. As it starts to grow, Windsor spreads out from the historic part, pushing west, and Bedborough gets in there. The key area is along Claremont Road and around Clarence Crescent.
Yes.
This is part of a big development.
So he basically bought this piece of land.
He buys the land
develops
develops it. Yeah. And there's more.
Yes.
There's Grove Road. There's a terrace of houses there.
What, the
Very
whole
long way.
terrace?
Yeah, yeah. But in terms of scale,
It's not as big
it's
as
not
this
as grand as
bit.
Clarence Crescent, Dorset Road, Trinity
Right.
Place, Claremont Road, Clarence Road. That what became known as the Bedborough Estate, in fact.
Did it?
At least within Windsor.
Really?
Very, very large-scale development there. And you can compare it to the size of the town.
So, I mean, he really was an entrepreneur.
Yes, yes.
I want to go and see it.
In the late 1820s, Britain was in the midst of the Industrial Revolution. Opportunities abounded for ambitious property developers, and Windsor, which for centuries had been little more than a garrison town, was booming. James Thomas Bedborough seized the chance and set about developing a whole new neighbourhood, known at the time as the Bedborough Estate.
This would be it. These roads up here. It's amazing. It's an enormous area. It's very posh, actually. Very smart. Very lovely. I walked round the corner and there I was faced with a whole area that one of my ancestors built and developed. I mean, was he one of those developers that everybody's up in arms about, or was it a popular thing? Or, I mean, how did he suddenly go from stonemason to developer? It's a big jump. And where did he live? I know that Upton Park fits in here somewhere.
Davina's meeting English heritage historian Stephen Brindle in the heart of Bedborough's development.
it's really lovely.
It is lovely, isn't
it? It's so beautiful.
It is. Well, he was a really good builder who really knew what he was doing. He's an ancestor to be proud of. He's the sort of man who'd have got up at dawn, 6 days a week, worked 14 to 16-hour days. That generation who built Britain of the Industrial Revolution. We've got his obituary, and you can find out lots more about him here.
Wow! Look at that obituary.
Well, they thought very highly of him.
So he died in 1860, in his 73rd year. Alderman and magistrate.
Yeah.
So he was a magistrate.
Well, he'd be mayor.
He can't have been mayor.
He was.
He was mayor of Windsor.
He made himself a big man around here. If you read
He
on.
was mayor of Windsor.
Oh, yeah.
Although the symptoms of declining health had become painfully apparent in his countenance for some time past, Mr. Bedborough continued to attend to his magistrate's business. He was a legend, wasn't he? So he was sick, and he still went to work.
Yeah.
United to a wife of a most amiable and engaging disposition, one whose character was well calculated to cheer and sustain a young tradesman in his progress through the thorny path of life. Isn't it beautifully written? This lady predeceased her husband by several years, leaving behind her large family. Nearly all his speculations at this period proved eminently successful, and he was now the largest house proprietor within the borough.
He proved himself as a reliable and excellent craftsman, I would guess.
Yes.
And he'd have got a very good reputation in this quite small community. And as he worked his way up, he'd have made connections in the town's professional classes, and those connections then would really have helped him as he built his business.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
I was very worried that he'd been underhand and devious. And I'm so pleased that he sounds as lovely as I dreamt he would be.
Yes, I'm sure he was.
I've seen something else very exciting. Mr. Bedborough became the purchaser of 20 acres of land in Upton. He built Upton Park. It's fantastic. In a funny kind of way, I don't want him to have been a relation to George IV and to have been given a leg up. I want to keep this image in my head of a great man of industry, and actually how much more meaning that has to me than being related to a royal, being related to somebody who did have ambition, but not that sort of ruthless ambition where you'd tread on someone's head to get further, but the sort of ambition that I admire, the sort of ambition that drives you to do the best that you possibly can. It'd be lovely to see if there were any records that could actually tell us a bit more about what he was like. I mean, that's what I'm sort of interested in, the personal stories behind the man. Oh. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I was just inquiring because I've been doing some research into my family, and I found a relative of mine, James Thomas Bedborough, who I know has quite a lot to do with Windsor, and I was given a bit of information today, and I was just wondering, where would I go for, where could I find more information
I think
on him?
probably the best bet is the newspaper archives.
I was going to say newspapers.
If you take a seat at the table, I'll see what I can
find. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Oh, wow. That's enormous.
It's heavy, isn't it?
Wow. Okay.
So I found something in there. If you have a look at the page that I bookmarked, you'll find something about Bedborough there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Right. Oh, look at that. 1865. Okay. Oh, no, this is... Oh, no. It says here, dreadful suicide at Upton Park. George Bedborough, JT's son, shot himself through the heart. And they found him in a pond. That's so unbelievably sad. Just trying to work out times, because 1865, I think was Was he alive still? He wasn't, was he? JT died. But not long before, was it? Because he died in 1860. So it's about 5 years after his father's death. And he'd been very strange in his demeanour of late, more particularly whenever the subject of his late father's property had been mentioned. He says, they've done me out of the land and the houses in Upton Park. Well, this isn't at all what I was expecting to find. John Bedborough. I reside at Windsor. The deceased is my brother. He was in his 52nd year. He had the management of the Upton Park estate. He had said to me these last 4 years past that he was afraid he should lose his senses, so he clearly was kind of worried about his mental health. And he was really disappointed at the result of his father's will, and I think that's kind of the thing that sent him over the edge. So Upton Park caused someone's death. That's really sad. Upton Park holds a lot of answers, I hope.
Upton Park near Slough was to be James Thomas Bedborough's most prestigious project. Davina's meeting local historian Brigitte Mitchell.
Hi.
Hello, Davina.
Hi.
I'm Brigitte.
Hi, Brigitte. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I believe you want to
Yes, well,
find out about this building.
I've got so many questions,
Yes.
because I was just... Is this the original Upton Park?
This is it, yes.
So I've got a picture, hang on.
Have a look. OK, well, this is obviously taken from the other side, but this one in the
Yes.
centre,
Yes.
that was where James Bedborough lived. Quite a splendid house, isn't it?
the whole central
The whole
one?
of that, yes.
Oh. What do you know about the circumstances of his death and the
Well,
will?
he was just old. He was 72 or something when he
Yes.
died. But his vision was to build this wonderful housing estate for the rich and famous.
But it
he
caused
left-
a great
he
sadness,
left-
didn't it?
He left a very sad legacy.
Capitalising on his reputation as a successful entrepreneur, James Thomas Bedborough risked over £20,000 on purchasing the land he needed, the equivalent of more than £2 million today. His crowning development was to be a private estate of 50 exclusive homes set in their own park, leased to the professional classes. But his ambitious plans were never completed. On his death in 1860, only 29 of the properties had been built. Acres of expensive land stood empty, and potential profits unrealized. The heavy financial commitments he'd taken on at the outset were to bring tragic repercussions to his whole family.
This is another entry from the Windsor and Eton Express.
Ah, yes. Ah, the late Mr. Bedborough. The mystery which surrounded the disappearance of Mr. Bedborough has cleared up on Sunday morning, when the worst apprehensions were most fully realised by the discovery of his body in the Thames. Which Bedborough? 71. This is after JT. When did George die?
65.
God. So they must be talking about a different Bedborough. Mr. Joseph Radnor, pawnbroker, said, I have seen the body of the deceased and I identify it as Mr. John Bedborough. John was George's older brother, and John was the John that talked to the coroner when George had killed himself.
Yes.
So they're all wrapped up in it. I don't... Oh, God. What happened?
Money. He left a lot of debts and a very complicated will.
So James Thomas left a lot of debts?
Yes.
So he'd borrowed a lot of money to build the houses?
Yes.
He'd left a burden?
Yes. he
His
left
vision
very
was
heavy
a burden?
Yes. Yes. Shame.
I see.
Sorry.
I I built JTB up to be such a hero in my head, which I think partially he was, but he died with huge debt, and I don't think... just didn't think about when it was going to end, or when his life was going to end, or his family. And I'm quite angry with him for that. I've yet to see the will, so I'd be interested to see what happened there.
The newspaper reports into the suicides of George Bedborough in 1865 and his older brother John 6 years later suggest their deaths were triggered by the strain that their father's will put on his children. James Thomas Bedborough had seemingly left insufficient funds to cover the mounting debts on his many ventures, and it fell to his family to untangle his financial affairs in court. Davina's meeting historian Rhiannon Markless to examine the legal documents connected to James Thomas's will.
The problem comes when James actually dies. He's built up the two estates, Clarence Crescent and Upton Park, but to do that he's had to take out mortgages. He's taken out 4 mortgages, which come to about £24,500. It's a big sum of money for that period, and there isn't sufficient money. Therefore, the family take the matter to the Chancery Court, and it falls upon George to look after the management of the property. He's, as an executor, he's got to collect the rents, he's got to maintain the properties that they're renting out, and he's got to oversee the bequests to the various family members.
They're all looking to him to keep them afloat.
Yeah. So this is most likely one of the factors which affects George.
And it's hanging over him.
Yeah. God. As far as John's concerned, he says,
I have at various times advanced to or paid on account of my son John Bedborough large sums of money.
So he's given John £800 in the past by way of a loan.
OK.
And what he's saying is, after his death, the interest payments on the loan should still be made.
My feeling is that's incredibly harsh on John.
Whether it was real or he perceived it, he felt that there was pressure from the family.
Poor guys. Thank you. It's very, very sad, though, isn't it, that 2 men had to lose their lives in that whole battle.
For 2 decades, the Bedborough family was mired in financial chaos, as little by little their father's estate was liquidated. For George, the pressure of managing his father's affairs had proven too much, while for John, the fear of having to repay the loans his father had given him was constant. By 1881, James Thomas's properties had been sold, and the debts finally settled. But by then, 2 of his sons were dead, and the family had lost everything.
That whole thing of, you know, borrowing more than you can afford, you know, buying, renting, using that money to borrow against and all of that kind of stuff. It's a dangerous game he was playing, but, you know, when he was alive, it was working, obviously. And I think I am the last person in this country that could possibly judge somebody that's led such an amazing life for, albeit a grave error that cost 2 of his children their life. I don't think he meant it. And he wasn't evil, and it wasn't done in cruelty. It was a mistake. And I can't judge other people by their mistakes because I've made so many of my own. So now I'd like to look more into the French side of my family because, you know, if we're talking about wobbly foundations, it's definitely more wobbly on the French side.
After her parents' divorce, Davina grew apart from her mother Florence and her French ancestry. Now she's on her way to see Caroline, her half-sister from her mother's first marriage.
Caroline really kind of knows the French side of my family and all the French history a lot better than I do because she kind of listened to family stories and stuff. And my grandfather kind of bizarrely gave me a medal that his father received, which is this lovely, beautiful medal. It's got Victoria written on it, and I think it's the Royal Victorian Order. I think he was the chief of Parisian police, Préfet de Police de Paris. So I'm going to go and meet her to ask her more, but I think the weirdest thing is that obviously she's been my sister all my life. Why didn't I ask her about it before? You know, I see this woman almost every weekend. Anyway, yeah, I've got to go and do some digging. Sorry. Oh my God. Oh. Okay, so show me. What have you got?
I don't know if you've seen them, but that's, I think,
yes, I've got that. That's
yeah.
Amazing. God, she was hot though. Huh? She's a showstopper.
Yeah.
Not great though when you're a teenager and your mother's hotter than you are.
With all your potential boyfriends.
Bad. Or when she goes clubbing with you and leaves you in the club. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah. I was 12. She left me in a nightclub on my own, looking like lamb dressed as mutton, if you see what I mean. I'm like too young, trying to look too old. I was just thinking in the cab on the way here, I was looking at the medal and I was talking about the medal and how it was my great-grandfather's. And then I suddenly thought, I don't even know his name.
Celestin.
C-E-L-E-S-T-I-N. Now, can you tell me, was he Préfet de Police de Paris?
He was chef
What
de la
does...
police française.
Oh my God, so it wasn't just Paris?
French police. No, French, the whole French police.
Did he wear tight trousers and knee-high leather boots?
I don't know.
I want to just... I've got this picture in my head.
Never,
Have you seen a picture of him?
Well, I've got a picture that matches, that kind of goes with the medal. In full regalia, because...
Where did you get that from?
Because that's King George.
George, yeah.
Yeah, the fifth.
Oh,
and that's Celestin.
No.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, isn't it? What year?
1914.
Wow.
So he was well in with all the, because obviously he was head of security, and I think he was a lovely man. So they all kind of.
Oh, he looks such a dude.
Quite close.
Why did he get the medal then? For services rendered to looking after royalty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So who can help me then?
Mum's first cousin, Françoise Enon.
So where is she?
In Paris, I think.
Davina knew almost nothing about the French side of her family. But now she's on the trail of her illustrious great-grandfather, Celestin Enon.
Check in. I don't know, it does feel like going home to me, going to Paris. And it evokes an enormous amount of memories and just the smell and the vibe and the feel.
As a child, Davina spent many of her school holidays in Paris with her mother, Florence.
My mother died last year and we were sort of estranged. It's just very sad. And really, my mum was a very exciting and lovely person to be around. And she shouldn't probably have had kids because she just was still a big kid herself. Obviously, she drank a lot, and from a really early age, kind of probably a bit too young, I knew she was smoking magic cigarettes, and she called them magic cigarettes, but I kind of knew exactly what they were from about 8. Just all like not appropriate behaviour. You know, the sad thing with her passing away is that she's also taken a lot of information and history with her about that side of my family, and I kind of lost touch with a lot of my French family as well, so I kind of feel half the person in a funny sort of way. Look at that! This was my stomping ground. Wow. This is quite weird. C'est Ribéry? Oui, voilà. Haha. And it's voila. That's it. That was our house. with the clunking doors. How weird is that? And I used to know the lady very well at the cafe at the end of the road, because Mum always used to go there for a little tipple. Breakfast tipple. She used to drink double Ricard for breakfast. And the barman would always go, "Vous êtes sûre, madame, un double Ricard?" She'd be like, "Yes, and?"
Waiting for Davina is Françoise Enon, her mother's cousin and Celestin's granddaughter. They haven't seen each other for more than 30 years.
Bonjour.
Mon Dieu.
Bonjour.
Mon Dieu.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Oui. Tu te souviens de moi?
Ça va?
Oui. Est-ce que tu te souviens de moi?
Oui, oui, oui.
Tu avais
Non,
10
mais
ans.
non, oui, oui. Alors
Dieu.
pour moi, ça fait un peu bizarre.
Et moi, ça fait très bizarre. Bon, on va pas pleurer, j'ai
Non,
déjà
non.
les yeux comme ça. Ah, quelle histoire. C'est extraordinaire.
Alors, les photos.
Alors, voilà. Donc là, Celestin Enon est déjà préfet de police. Hein. C'est un peu à la fin de sa vie. À sa génération, il dépassait d'une tête tout le monde. Ce qui fait que sur les photos, je le reconnais toujours.
Ah, super.
Parce qu'il était très grand et on l'appelait le géant blond. Alors ça, c'est l'homme officiel. Et voilà l'homme privé dans sa maison de Gomny, devant son tennis.
Quelle jolie maison.
Oui.
It's just a classic snapshot of French life. There's this beautiful sort of French house behind it with shutters. Et quand il
Dans le
était né,
village.
ils avaient de l'argent ou pas beaucoup?
Ah non, il est d'un milieu très modeste. Son père était ouvrier agricole. Et c'est pour ça qu'il n'a pas pu faire d'études. Ils ont juste
That's
pu
why
lui
he
payer
couldn't
le
do
collège
studies.
jusqu'à 15 ans. Tu crois,
Oui,
c'était
et
fini.
puis après, il
Et
devait
après,
travailler
il est
pour...
devenu une grande personnalité.
Et comment, how did that happen? Comment ça se fait?
Eh bien, ça se fait qu'il voulait servir son pays. Donc, il avait toujours l'idée de travailler dans la fonction publique. Il est entré comme inspecteur à la police des chemins de fer, qui était une police très importante, qui surveillait tous les agissements des milieux anti-républicains, qui surveillait les anarchistes, les bonapartistes, les royalistes, qui voulaient démolir la démocratie et la République.
Wow. So he was in charge of, it was a very important sort of district because their section of the police was in charge of looking out for anarchists and royalists, anybody that was kind of intent on destroying democracy, and so he was kind of in charge with protecting democracy in France. So I love that idea.
Mais maintenant, si tu veux tout savoir, en savoir plus et comprendre pourquoi et comment, il faut que tu ailles au musée Clémenceau.
It was quite weird seeing Françoise because there is definitely a very strong family gene, and she looks, you know, quite like my mum, except without the nose job. I mean, she just was very familiar. It was kind of comforting to see her.
Celestin Enon owed much of his success to Georges Clemenceau, a radical reformer who later became Prime Minister. Under his patronage, Enon rose to the most senior role in the French police.
Oh, don't, 'cause I'm going to start crying. Ah, brilliant. There's a portrait. 24.
This picture shows Celestin Enon in his office in the Ministry of the Interior, where he was director of the Criminal Investigation Department from 1907 to 1913.
Davina's great-grandfather had risen through the ranks during an era of political turmoil. Since the revolution, France had swung violently between monarchy, empire, and republic. At the end of the 19th century, the fragile republic was threatened by opposition forces, which sought to bring down the new democracy and its ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Historian Simon Kitson has gathered together documents chronicling Enion's career.
Your great-grandfather was a huge figure. He was a real sort of he became quite a celebrity in his own right. I mean, here's a magazine with a lovely picture of him on the front.
That's brilliant.
Some people refer to him as the father of modern policing because he wants to modernise the police. He wants to bring in ideas of using the latest techniques, using photography, using cars, using science in policing.
It's all the things we totally depend on now that we've come to just take for granted, and that's all just an integral part of policing now, isn't it?
That's right, and your great-grandfather was the person in France who is behind all this.
He sounds to me like he had a very kind of clear idea of what he wanted to do.
He was a very staunch Republican, defending the Republic, particularly against the nationalists and the anti-Semites. This was a period of considerable anti-Semitism in France. These people were involved in a movement called Action Française. Here's an article about your great-grandfather saying a rascal at the prefecture.
Un gredin.
Yeah.
Un gredin à la préfecture de police.
And
a rascal.
Yeah, and he's basically being accused of being, you know, of being too Republican and being biased because he's Republican.
I kind of love that.
It's good, isn't it? So, I mean, if I was being attacked by these newspapers, I'd actually be very proud.
Very proud, yeah.
I would be extremely proud. And we have one here. Préfet de la police juive, the prefect of the Jewish police. And they're saying he's a Jew lover, basically. That's what they're accusing him of.
Horrible, isn't it?
Well, this article, only someone really nasty could have written this article. It's
That's quite frightening.
It is very frightening.
And very inflammatory.
And it's very inflammatory. This group, Action Française, were born at the time of something called the Dreyfus Affair. Have you come across the Dreyfus Affair?
No.
The Dreyfus Affair is probably the biggest legal case and the most famous legal trial in modern French history. Dreyfus was an army officer, a Jewish army officer, who was accused of giving documents to the Germans. He's falsely accused of espionage. Your great-grandfather was heavily involved in this trial.
Was he?
He helped Dreyfus.
I feel like crying again. I can't bear it. Honestly. It's something to be so proud of.
This is a man you can be very, very proud of. If you're looking for monsters in your family, this guy is not the monster.
It's not the one.
If you like, I could put you in contact with the great-granddaughter of Alfred Dreyfus, and she will be able to tell you a lot more about the Dreyfus Affair and about the role of your great-grandfather in the Dreyfus Affair.
In this case.
Celestin Enon became famous for defending Republican ideals against a wave of anti-Semitism. In the 1890s, hatred of the Jews was growing in France, engendered by economic crisis and an increasingly nationalistic press. When in 1894 a Jewish army officer, Captain Alfred Dreyfus, was arrested and charged with treason, the case became the catalyst for an ideological battle that would reverberate for decades. Davina's meeting Captain Dreyfus's great-granddaughter, Yael Pearl Ruiz, at the Museum of Jewish Art and History, where a statue stands in his honor.
Yael?
Hi.
Ça va?
Ça va, ça va. Et vous? Bien? Je suis contente de vous connaître.
Oui, vous aussi, vous aussi.
First, I will show you a beautiful picture of Alfred Dreyfus.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful eyes.
Yes, he had beautiful eyes. He was really a very serious and very good man.
Hang on. Let me show you my great-grandfather.
Wow.
He also is very serious, as you can see.
Yes, you see.
They're both kind of the same thing,
Yes.
with the moustache.
Oh, yes.
Captain Dreyfus was accused of passing secret military documents to Germany, France's long-standing enemy.
You see, it was not like a normal trial. This is a picture, you see. It was only military people.
That's
This is Dreyfus, yes. I think they are giving him the sentence. And after, they took him to the military school, and all the military, they were giving the back to him.
They turned their
because
back.
he's a traitor. And then one came, and they break the sword. You see? It was terrible for him, really terrible. And he was very strong, and he
underneath,
stood straight like this.
Look, it says the traitor
Yes.
degradation of
Yes.
Alfred Dreyfus.
Yes.
It must have been awful for him.
Awful. He said, on dégrade un innocent, vive la France.
Despite his protestations of innocence, Dreyfus was found guilty and imprisoned on Devil's Island, a French penal colony off the coast of South America. In France, public opinion split. Some believed that the military had stage-managed the trial, and Dreyfus had been targeted because he was Jewish. In 1898, famous French novelist Émile Zola wrote an open letter to the president, knowing it would bring worldwide attention to the affair. In it, he declared the court-martial of Alfred Dreyfus a gross miscarriage of justice and a stain on the honor of France. The scandal attracted international attention, and under the glare of public opinion, the French authorities were forced to order a retrial. After 4 years in exile, Dreyfus returned to France.
Dreyfus had to come back to be judged again. This is a picture. When they arrived close to the French coast, it was raining, it was a very bad weather, and there was waiting for him Celestin Enon and 2 gendarmes. Celestin Enon, very well known, was the one who was in charge of the security of Dreyfus. They were very scared about riots and about assassinat, how do you say, crimes? Yes, assassinations and crimes. So he had a very hard job. I suggest that you go to Rennes, you know, where was the trial happened.
In August 1899, Dreyfus faced a second court-martial. This time it was not just his freedom at stake, but the very ideals of the French Republic. Davina's great-grandfather, Celestin Enon, was to play a crucial role.
I would imagine that if my great-grandfather felt that this man was innocent, he would go that extra mile to prove it, regardless. And I like to think that I'm quite like that.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Merci. That's really important, that somebody gets a fair trial or that's not misjudged. To know and to meet anybody and find out what makes them tick and why they're successful, you know, it's interesting to see. But when they're actually attached to you and part of your DNA and part of your family, it's just very invigorating.
Crowds of journalists from across the world descended on Rennes in northwest France to report on the trial of the century. The momentous event was even captured by some of the first documentary filmmakers. Davina has arranged to meet historian Jean-Marc Bellier at the school where the trial was held.
Hi.
Hi, Davina.
Bonjour.
May I tell you, it's a great pleasure for me to
Oh.
meet the great-granddaughter of Celestin Enon,
Oh, merci,
who
Jean-Marc.
was one of my heroes since...
Really?
Yes, it's a subject of my research since the 80s.
Really?
And
So you know
to
everything?
welcome... not everything. I try to. Your great-grandfather played a great role. He was one of the few police who was in the Dreyfus camp So you'll be probably happy to see your great-grandfather. So this snapshot is very important because it's one of the rare snapshots we've got from the courtroom, you know. Here you have Dreyfus himself and the lawyers defending Dreyfus. And this man standing is your great-grandfather, Celestin Enon.
That's amazing.
Yes. And,
that's amazing. Wow.
Enon was not only in charge of the security, he became a very important witness during the trial. Yes. Have a look at this, for instance. This is a New York Times. Yes.
God, it's in the my great-grandfather was in the New York Times.
Yes.
So it says it. Oh, it's amazing.
You never knew?
No, I've got goosebumps all over my body. Enon helps Dreyfus's case.
If you look at this other, you will recognize, of course.
The Times. God, the Times, the New York Times.
The Madrid Times and so on.
Oh, Dreyfus trial.
Aye.
3rd page. Monsieur Enon.
Right.
There's a whole paragraph. So Monsieur Enon was called to the bar. He testified that he'd been ordered to find a man named Paulmier. It had been reported that while he was in the service of a German officer attached to the German legation in Brussels, he had seen upon the table some directing plans signed Dreyfus. Paulmier was found and declared that he'd never seen any plans and had never made the statement imputed to him.
Incroyable.
Celestin Enon's role in the trial changed when he was summoned to take the stand. He testified that during the investigation, his officers had interrogated a prosecution witness who had allegedly made a statement implicating Dreyfus. On the stand, Enon revealed that this witness had denied making any such statement. Enon's evidence bolstered suspicion that the first trial had been fixed and that Dreyfus had been falsely accused. But despite Enon's testimony and a mass of evidence in his favor, Alfred Dreyfus was once again found guilty on September the 9th, 1899. However, 10 days later, in the face of worldwide condemnation of the verdict, Dreyfus was released with a presidential pardon. Republican ideals had triumphed.
I want to know about him and Dreyfus. Did they become friends? Was there more than just policemen?
I could tell you a small story. For the burial of Émile Zola, could you imagine the crowd?
Yes.
Hostile, like, shouting, mort aux Juifs, death to the Jews, and so on. And Enon, that's written in the memoirs of Mathieu Dreyfus, the brother of the Captain Dreyfus. Enon went to Mathieu Dreyfus and told him, I will stay with you so the people will know in which camp I am. And that's very courageous at this time.
You know, the more I know him, the more I love him. He's such a great guy.
Very interesting man, in my opinion, but it's cut off. It's impossible not to fall in love or to feel empathy with a man like that, of course.
Hello, au revoir.
It was a pleasure.
For me as well, thank you so much. Thank you. Au revoir. I just wish that I could have met Celestin. I mean, he seemed like a real man. He had all the qualities that you would want your perfect man to have. Loyalty, courage, integrity, ambition, strength of character, good looking, you know, just lovely. I'd love to go and see where he's buried. It seems like the final stop on my journey.
Celestin Enon died in March 1915. He's buried in the family tomb in Gomeny, in northeast France.
It's so quiet. There's no cars. There are no people. I had a little moment earlier on when I was walking, you know, and you have a bit of time to think. I had a mini moment where I thought, isn't it a shame that my mum isn't here to show her and to sort of share it with her? Because as much as we had our differences, I think she would have loved it. That's really lovely. I think one of the nicest things I've found on this trip is that not only was he a great guy, but there seem to be lots of people that aren't even related to me that are intent on keeping his memory alive. And he's not a huge celebrity in France, but the people that love him really love him. Having viewed my lives, I kind of describe them as my two lives, you know, as being totally separate, and France was always such madness and England was always such security. I look at my ancestors and I think, you know, there are such great similarities between the two of them, you know, great principles, men of integrity, kind, loved their families, upright. They even kind of looked the same. So I'm not that split up. I am more of a whole person, I suppose, in a sense. And, you know, it's interesting, in both stories, people were saying to me, this is an ancestor to be proud of. And I'm proud of that. I have roots that are really amazing.